up our first panelist today, Shavini. Here for you guys. Shavini Fernando, President and founder, or CEO and founder of OxiWear. Please welcome her to the stage, and let's get today's program started.
You have to adjust after. So hi all, I'm Shavini Fernando, founder CEO of OxiWear. I know this is a bio track, but I'm no medical person by profession. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biomedical engineer by background. I'm a video game developer, but I'm a patient. I'm a patient with severe pulmonary hypertension due to Eisenmenger syndrome. So back in 2015, I got a diagnosis called Eisenmenger syndrome. I had no idea. I had to Google it and figure out what it was. So I've had a hole in the heart since birth. No one diagnosed it. I was a sprinter, I was a swimmer, and I overworked my full engine and successfully managed to damage the entire engine. So in 2015, when I started turning blue and went to the doctor and said, I'm turning blue when I'm adrenaline junkie, so I still do stuff. I said, when I'm doing all my crazy stuff, I start turning blue. And then they said that they need to do some invasive tests and diagnose me with severe pulmonary hypertension and said I have Eisenmenger syndrome. I got 2 years to live, enjoy life. So I'm a bit of a rebel. When people say things like that to me, it only clicks me like, oh, who is he to tell that I have only 2 years to live? All right, so I told the doctor, I will be back in 2 years and I'll in full healthy condition, and I'll come and say hi to you. So, and I took a flight and came to US, to Johns Hopkins for a second opinion. The thing was, when they were diagnosing me, they run this test called the right heart catheterization. It's an invasive test where they put a catheter inside your heart to check your pressure. So my whole life, my heart and lungs have been functioning on its own and adjusting to my lifestyle. So that's the first time it got intruded by this device. So I went into a cardiac arrest. It was more like a table death where they had to revive me. And then I flew to US right after getting revived. So I ended up with stroke and was in the ICU for 2 weeks. But because things were all bad, I got discharged with full on oxygen, continuous flow, and couldn't even walk 500 feet. I was turning blue. I even had to change my toothbrush to electronic one because if I move my hand too much, I turn blue. So that's how bad things were. But in my head, it was more like, okay, so my heart and lungs were put in a very uncomfortable position. It's out of its comfort zone, now it just needs time to adjust again. So when they discharged me, they did a 6-minute walk test. I only walked 500 feet. I couldn't walk more than that. So I was an athlete. My goal was my next 6-minute walk test, I'm going to walk more than 500 feet. So with my oxygen, I started doing my own walk test at home and managed to walk 1,500 feet when I went for my next one. And the doctors were like, we have no idea how you function. But it's a good sign because you are reacting positively to the medicine, so let's just keep watching you how it goes. Because initially they said I may need both lungs and a heart transplant within 2 years. So the tricky part is when you have pulmonary hypertension, for the slightest activity you do, your oxygen starts dropping. And for me, because I have a hole, the blood flow starts reversing and I start turning blue. So it was very complicated. And on top of all that, I came here on a tourist visa because my plan was to go back home in 3 months. And now I had to sort my visa. So the only option was to study again, join Georgetown, and for a third master's, because in US, even if you have 2 masters, 3 masters, you can't get a job just like that. And no one would give a job to someone who's on oxygen anyways. So then while I was at Georgetown, what happened was my oxygen started dropping Like for me, I can function with even 50% oxygen. I have no physical symptoms. But the tricky part is it comes up fast, but there are certain times it doesn't come up. And then I go into a cardiac arrest or a stroke. So I've had 4 cardiac arrests, 3 strokes to date. And then at Georgetown, also I got a cardiac arrest. The thing is, it has happened so many times, I didn't even knew they were cardiac arrest. So I'm quite good at reviving myself. And so by the time 911 comes, I'm all back to normal, no one believes me. Only my doctors at Johns Hopkins knows that I'm telling the truth. So then when that happened, by that time I was back to normal, living on my own, not with my sister, doing everything I love. But then the doctors got panicked. They said, it's not safe for you to live alone, move back to live with your sister. And I can't study at Georgetown because it's too much hills. I need to find a school on a flatter land. And I was like, you know how hard it is to get admission to Georgetown, right? And you want me to change school? And so I again felt like he was challenging me. So I said, look, this is a fire alarm situation. The problem is my oxygen drops, I don't know. So why don't you make something? And it started as a joke because I just wanted to prove my doctor I can live alone. And then I came back, I did my first prototype, went back and showed it to him and said, this works, now can I live alone? But it was a different answer I got from him. He said, you need to commercialize this. He said, all my patients need this. I was like, no, I don't know how to do any of this. I just wanted to show you I can live alone. And then I came to school and everyone at Georgetown was like, we need to get you money. So they put me to pitch at Ted Leonce's Family Entrepreneurship Prize, BARCTAC at Georgetown. And I won the first prize and People's Choice. And I got 40,000 prize money from Ted Leonce's, and I was like, oh, now people gave me money, I really have to do this. But I still didn't want to do this. So I went to one of the biggest fitness device CEOs, and I asked, can you do this? He said, athletes don't need oxygen monitoring. And then I went to the 2 largest pulse oximeter companies and said, I'll give you my IP. Can you do this? One of them said, we don't do consumer. So I asked, so you don't want to prevent anyone from coming to hospital? And then he smiled. He said, no, it's just we don't do consumer. And then I went to the other one. He said, we have tried the ear. It doesn't work. You will fail miserably. So I started the company again. You know, there's a pattern. Just to prove to them, I'll show you how it's done. So it's been 7 years since then. No one told me doing a medical device is torture. No one wants to fund you. No one understands what you're doing. FDA don't understand you. And most of the protocols and things you have to do for wearables is the same as for CT scanners and MRIs, which is just absurd. So there was a lot of education involved. To date, I say it's the most frustrating, brain-draining, fun-draining process ever. And so for my first round, I went and pitched to 357 investors. Everyone said no. This was before COVID. So after COVID, when they published papers saying, please don't come to my ER because your Apple Watch says so, get FDA cleared device, then only everyone started coming back and asked, are you still raising money? And then only we were able to get money in. And it was very helpful because even before they came back, Ted Leonsis wrote the first check. So everyone was like, oh, Ted funded. So we should fund too. That's how investor network works, right? Someone has to write someone that they believe, then only they will do a follow-up check. So something I learned was medical devices, no one wants to invest. And when it comes to not even medical, any hardware, no one wants to invest. And when it has FDA attached to it, it's a double no. So it's been very hard trying to convince everyone and get through the FDA process. We had to find the cheapest option. I to date say I function as a proper Asian housewife, very frugal, managing every single dollar as a stingy person. A lot of tests we did in-house, whatever we can. That's how we got through it. So finally, after spending $6 million, we were FDA cleared in 2023. And the thing is, you think, oh, FDA cleared, you are good now. No, it's not that easy. And then comes, oh, it's asking for a password, that's fine. And then comes the commercialization. There's more work and more money, which no one told me. So again, you have to go back to investors and say, I need more money. And a lot of investors don't understand. And people told me, like, oh, you need a co-founder, because everyone thinks I have 3 masters, I'm 42, but they think I just graduated. So they are like, oh, you need a co-founder, a white male co-founder. And so my answer was like, what is he going to come and find? It's already founded, we have 96 patents issued. What is he going to come and do? Right, so to date, I'm still a single co-founder, like single founder. It's just having that right team with you who will support you. That's all you need. You don't need a co-founder. Because if it's not the right co-founder, it's an ugly marriage. Divorce is hard. And so people said no one would need this. The market is small, but now the market is big. We have so many verticals that we work together with. There's military, there's sports, there's crazy altitude travelers, and then patients. So we released the first device in 2022, even before FDA as a consumer device. And we had close to 500 patients who bought it out of pocket because they don't have another continuous oxygen measuring device that alerts them before it drops down. Because everything is only FDA cleared and works if you're still. Because no one understands your oxygen drops when you're walking, not when you're watching TV. And so it's been hard, but we haven't done a single marketing, but people come to us. We've been to Mount Everest. We are tested at Kilimanjaro. Like people buy, they come and they say they buy it. And I'm so proud to say we were the only device that worked on top of Kilimanjaro Everest because nothing else read oxygen on the top. And in addition to that, we have kids, we have patients of different ages who uses the device. I have emails from patients saying, thank you so much because of this. Now I'm back farming. Some are saying, now I am with my kids. And some are going on trips. And for me, before I got my OxiWear, I was tied to full-time oxygen. It's just sitting under the chair now. And I used to have at least 2 ER visits. And I haven't gone to ER for the last 2 years. That's about $8,000 a year that I'm saving. And so we started as a patient device, but now the image is not there. We are going into large arenas. We are just finalizing agreement with PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, because they want to use our sensor on their players. And so it's not easy doing a hardware, and especially it's a medical one. But something I learned was it's a lot of perseverance. A lot of people say you're crazy, it won't work, but if you know it's going to work, you should just go at it. And also when it comes to investment, you'd rather take investment from those who believe in you than being choosy and going for the bigger check if they are going to change your mission and what you want to do with this company. I'm not ashamed to say my cap table is a mess. It's like an IPO. But all of them are people who have believed in me and who has written checks for me to get this done. So if someone comes and asks me, your cap table is a mess, my answer now is, if you wrote a $2 million check, it wouldn't have been a mess. So if you didn't believe me back then, don't ask and come and ask questions now. So you have to just keep your head straight and believe in what you do and go at it. And if you think it's going to work, because ultimately For someone, I say the biggest innovations come from the need. So when you are the patient, when you know it's needed, no one else can say it's not needed, right? Because you are the customer. And just go at it because someone has to do it for the people, not just for the money. Thank you.